And we have Debbie Solaris back with us. What's up, Debbie?
Hi, it's great to be back. It feels like it's been a long time. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, no problem at all. And you've been really busy. You've been on Coast to Coast AM a couple of times and on.
Yeah, the Beyond Belief. I think I've been on Open Minds and now Ancient Civilizations on
And we
Gaia.
have
So,
Debbie Solaris back hold with on, I us. Got an What's echo up, going Debbie? Here.
hi, it's great to be back. It feels like it's been a
Uh,
long time.
okay, sorry about that. Okay, okay. So I did want to talk about the new show you got coming out on Gaia. That's coming out in January, and it's going to be
January.
sort of one of these shows where they're investigating ancient. They're going to go further into the star history and galactic history. Is that what the show's sort of about?
It's mostly on ancient civilizations and sites throughout planet Earth, but I guess my contribution to the show would be more about the extraterrestrial influences of all these sacred places on the planet. So I'll be on probably every show on season 4 of Ancient Civilizations. I'll be like the little expert that kind of pops in and says, "Oh, this extraterrestrial influences of this place is," So you'll just
Wow.
see me for like a couple of minutes, but I'll be on every episode. So and I just got finished with that last month. It's a lot of fun. It was challenging when you're having to do several episodes, but it was a lot of fun. A lot of research though. A lot of research. Some of the places we'll be talking about will be not the typical places. It's kind of like the Carpathian Sphinx and I think it was Palenque and some of these really kind of really mysterious remote places.
Wow, that's so awesome. Before we get too far into it, because I know some people, they'll dip in for a few minutes and head out. Let's talk about what you have coming up. Just that announcement on the 19th of November, in case somebody leaves
Yeah,
early, they'll know to get registered for that.
yeah. Thank you for that. Well, it seems like lately I've noticed that the big theme with a lot of the Akashic records. So I'm a galactic historian, a galactic Akashic records reader, and also an ET contactee. In case people don't know who I am already, but
I do want to say I did share that link below to the show
okay.
you just did with Regina Meredith that you kind of
Oh, very
explain all of that. So
yeah,
Um, that
exactly.
link's
Thank you.
below in the description, you guys. So it's a great interview, and it explains a lot of Debbie's history
Yeah,
as
that
well.
was a really good interview. Even if I say so myself,
Right, right.
but
Yeah, it was a lot of information packed into that
a
one
lot of
episode.
information
Yeah, and it's
in
only
an hour.
yeah in an
Yeah.
hour. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, so I've been noticing when I'm doing Akashic readings that a lot of people are asking about, soul contracts. They want to know what their relationships are with their families or what their relationship is with their spouses or why do they have this connection with a twin flame or with soulmates and so I thought, well, why don't I just make a webinar about it? Just but with the extraterrestrial galactic influences. So all of us are genetically influenced by our galactic origins, and that could have an impact on our relationships. And so that's mainly what I'm going to be focusing on is how does that impact your twin flame relationship? How does that impact your family relationship? How does being, say, a Pleiadian hinder you in relationships or help you? So I'm just using Pleiadian as an example, but I'm going to cover all the major star systems. But so we decided to come up with this webinar. We did one last March and it was kind of like an intro to Akashic reading course called Recognizing Extraterrestrial Frequencies. That one was really popular, and I still got people going on Kajabi and watching it. But this one's called Transforming Galactic Soul Contracts, and uh, it's going to be chock full of information. I mean, we did. It's going to be kind of like we've gone beyond, with the information that you would normally get when, let's say, you're looking at a website about twin flames or a website about relationships. So So we kind of went on beyond, and there's also going to be some tips and tricks and tools that people can incorporate to improve these relationships. So we're not just telling you about them. We're also giving you some, very practical solutions on how to work on improving relationships. Because that seems to be the biggest struggle, don't you think, Shane, that we struggle with relationships a lot?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's what it's all about, isn't it? And most of
Yeah,
us like to kind of turtle up a little bit, but
I know. Even with some of our long-term ones, with our spouses or our families, we kind of run into little challenges here and there. So I just want to encourage people to check out my website. If it resonates with you, you still got time to register. We still have room. We created a lot of seats, because we wanted to encourage people to attend, and we kept it affordable. So you can go on there and see, how much it is. But anyway, it will be on November 19th live at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So that would be 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 6 p.m. Pacific Time. So
okay.
Hopefully that'll work for most folks.
Awesome. How long does it typically last? Something like that.
That's a good question. Normally we'll do it for about an hour.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's so much information though that I think it's going to go over an hour. And we usually do like 30 minutes Q&A. So after we do the whole presentation, and it's very professionally produced. I mean, we have, the lighting, the music, intros, a slideshow, so, and I got a team of people that are helping me with this, just awesomely talented people. So, so it'll be worth your time. At least I think so. So
Awesome. Yeah, I was just looking at your website just before we went on, and you've got the section that you added since the last time I've been there called
yeah.
Galactic History. Can you tell me about this section?
Yeah.
This looks awesome.
Yeah, it is. That took a lot of work, by the way. A lot of people think it's real easy just to kind of throw like a whole big section on your website,
Right.
but it takes a lot of work, especially on the content. And we put a lot of illustrations, in that section, because I wanted to give people the feel of what these extraterrestrial races were like, or what they're like. So I did that in collaboration with Billy Rude, who is with 58 Magazine. I did the content, and he pretty much formatted it and did put in the illustrations. And so this was a project that he and I did together. It took several months. So it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't, a quick thing that we did, but I wanted people to have like a one-stop shop, like, hey, I can find out about Pleiadians, I can find out about Arcturians, I can find out about Lyrans, or reptilians, whatever, in one area. Because right now it's like when you do like research online, you want to look up star races, you have to go to like 50 different websites to get little bits of information here and there.
Yeah, I've been there and done that.
Yeah, I know. I think we've all done that. I certainly have done that. And I just wanted like a one-stop shop where people can get all the information and really learn from it. And it's been extremely popular. I think people have loved it. Regina Meredith loved it. I mean, she had a lot of nice things to say about that section. And as a matter of fact, I think I might be going back on Open Minds sometime next year, again with Regina, to kind of continue on the conversation we started with the link that you posted below. So that's going to be pretty exciting.
Awesome. Yeah, I had the opportunity to do a little short interview with her because she came to the IMEC conference. She was a speaker at the last IMEC conference. So,
oh, very cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, yeah, man, to get on Gaia TV and to get on this program and even the coast to coast. I mean, it's like a whole different world from like the last time when I first met you and you first came on.
Yeah, I
right?
know. I think we met like a few years ago. I think I did my first show with you a few years ago, and I was just barely getting started. And
right.
I think I only did like one video interview before yours. Yours was like the second one.
Right.
And it just seems like so much has changed and evolved, since then. So I'm just very thankful. I'm humbled, by people's interest in, my work, and I just want to continue just getting the message out there. I'm just happy I can do it on a bigger platform, like Gaia, but, and we were talking about this before, but we came online, but a lot of people don't know this. I just barely found out, but I am going to be one of the speakers at the Ancient Civilizations Conference on Gaia Sphere next year in September. I don't have dates yet or anything, but I've been invited to be a speaker. I'll be talking about the extraterrestrial influences on planet Earth and the 22 different star races that have influenced, our genetics, our culture, our civilizations. And I think it's going to be a super awesome event. So if you're a Gaia subscriber, you might want to stay tuned for that.
Absolutely. Yeah, in fact, I was just talking to somebody about a Gaia subscription, so maybe I need to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Because I get people that send me links all the time, so I get to watch stuff all the time because it's free when they send
Oh,
me
yeah,
links.
yeah. You get the free links, and the free links are cool. But I kind of just like having the subscription because then I
Oh,
can,
absolutely, yeah.
so I don't have to wait for somebody to send me a link.
Yeah.
But anyway, I did want to come on here and talk about soul contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Because not just because that's the topic of my webinar, but because it seems like something that a lot of us starseeds are dealing with right now. And I get so many questions about it. And I want to go a little bit into how our galactic origins might influence, our relationships, even our Earth relationships, so why do we struggle with these
And
things,
that's what a soul contract is. It's basically we're working something out with another person. Is it?
Yeah, with another soul. Yeah.
Okay.
And there's several different types of soul contracts. So it's not just like a static one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, so some of the most common ones would be, say, like a soulmate situation. So a soulmate is somebody that you've had lifetimes before with, and they are, they're usually, somebody that you've had probably a romantic relationship with in a past life, but they're not a twin flame. Okay, twin flame is something totally different. Okay, a lot of people get those terminologies mixed up. So a soulmate is somebody that is a kindred soul. Somebody that is on the same path as you. That you make a contract with to support you or to go through lessons together. In this lifetime, but it's not a tumultuous relationship. I mean, it could be difficult. I mean, I've had some twin flame situations that, they're not like super easy to get into, but once you get into them, you're solid. You're like, hey, I'm in this long-term relationship with my soulmate. We're harmonious. Things are good. We're supporting each other. That's a soulmate. Okay. Twin flame, on the other hand, is somebody that used to be the same soul as you. So you were once the same soul, and then your soul split. So when our souls are really big, so when we're in our true soul form, our souls are big. And so sometimes the soul will split. And, when we're trying to have a physical incarnation. So usually the split is like the divine masculine expression of the soul and the divine feminine expression of the soul. And they just kind of split and have different incarnations and learn, have different experiences. But a lot of times they're magnetically attracted to each other. So even though they may try to have different experiences, they'll come back together. Then they'll split apart, then they'll come back together. And it's mainly, I think, to activate one another, to learn lessons, to have, that solid, it's not, I take that back. It's not as solid as the soulmate, but they'll have that activation, that magnetic attraction. Usually twin flames are either very much alike. They're like super like, they're like alike, or they're very, very opposite of each other. So there's no in between. It's not like the soulmate where it's a harmonious type of thing. Now, I do know of some twin flames that do have long-term relationships, long-term romantic relationships. Usually they have gone through a lot of lessons together, and they've been able to transcend, the duality within, their soul expressions. But usually this twin flame is more like a mirror of each other. So sometimes you trigger each other as well as activate each other. Uh, the other thing about twin flames is sometimes it's not always romantic. So sometimes you might have twin flames that are brother and sister, or twin flames that are grandmother and grandson, So I think, popular society likes to romanticize everything. And although, I would say majority of twin flame relationships are on the romantic side of things, it's not always that case. So another soul contract that we oftentimes see would be kindred souls. Or not kindred souls, I'm sorry, karmic relationships. That's what I meant to say, karmic relationships. So karmic relationships are usually it's difficult. Okay. So usually it's like a relationship with a parent or maybe a teacher or a boss, that it's really difficult. You're struggling with that relationship, and and a lot of times you're wondering, like, why did I choose this? Why did I choose to have this connection with this person? But it's because it's meant to teach you lessons, and some really hard lessons. The karmic relationship is sometimes can be with a soul that actually really loves you a lot. It's a master soul that loves you and wants you to learn, but they play the bad guy in your life in order to teach you lessons. So if you're able to transcend, the suffering of being in a karmic relationship and understanding that, oh, this is for my higher good, then I think you'll get through it a lot easier. The last type, which, there's two other types. I'll say the second to the last type would be family relationships. So a lot of souls will choose, so a lot of starseed souls will choose Earth families. Okay, so because we're not from Earth, so we're not tied to, the overall karma of this planet. When we choose to incarnate on this planet, we have to try to find family groups to incarnate into. And usually that's based on genetic connections. So if, let's say we have a Pleiadian background or an Arcturian background, we're going to look for Earth families that carry that physical genetic. Okay, so there has to be a DNA marker that matches, because we have a soul DNA and then we have a physical DNA. So we'll choose families to incarnate into, and we make negotiations with that families through the in-between life stage. So this is called Bardo in Tibetan Buddhism. But so when we're in that Bardo state, we're making decisions about what families am I going to incarnate into, what lessons I'm going to learn within that family, what Earth experiences I want to have. And so sometimes we might choose difficult families, but a lot of times the negotiation that we make is that, hey, can I incarnate in your family? What I'll do for you in return is clear your entire ancestral karma. So when we go through all our trials and tribulations with the family relationships, we're clearing the karma. Okay. So these families get a benefit, from having a starseed in their family, or a few starseeds, So, and I think more and more we're seeing more and more starseeds on, in families on planet Earth, So it's not like back in the day when I was born, because I'm a first waver. I think you're second wave, but you're born what, in the 70s or?
Yeah, 74.
Yeah, so you're second wave. I'm a first waver. I'm an oldster, but yeah. So back in the day, you know, it was like, oh, you're lucky if you had one starseed in the family, and you were always like the black sheep. You're always like, nobody understands me, you know. So you
The
go through
punching
life.
bag of the family, right?
Yeah, am I adopted? I mean, what's going on here? You know, I don't feel like I don't belong to these people. Okay, I'm different from these people. You know, but I think nowadays it's like there's more and more star seeds on the planet. So
Hmm.
I see a lot of families where they're all star seeds. I mean, it's like, you know, it's pretty freaking amazing. I mean, I just love that. But sometimes, you know, we'll go through these, you know, family relationships, and the family relationships will be difficult. You know, they'll be really difficult. But it's meant for us to learn lessons, because as higher dimensional souls, we don't go through suffering like we do here on Earth. So we have to understand certain human conditions, and also understand, you know, the suffering that Earth humans go through, so that we could become more effective healers or teachers, or whatever it is that we came here to do as starseeds.
I got a quick question while we're here on the starseed topic. Is
Yeah.
it would it be a starseed? Okay, so once you come into the Earth planet, the Earth experience,
Yeah.
as a starseed, if you come again on another lifetime, are you still a starseed having to get woven into another family, or can once you're in, are you sort of adopted into that family for future lives,
Um,
or
it can be both.
okay,
Okay, so I get some star seeds that connect with the same family group over and over and over again. Okay,
okay.
like they have a solid contract with that family.
So you can be a
Okay.
starseed, and this isn't your first life on Earth, then basically.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
okay.
Yeah.
And
So
animals, somebody's asking. Does that include some animals too, as far as
yeah,
souls? Okay.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So a star seed can. I mean, there's some that, you know, they're with the same family group, you know, so their genetic is always kind of the same.
Hmm.
And then I have other star seeds that they decide, hey, I'm going to incarnate in a Chinese family this lifetime, and then I'm going to incarnate in an African family or a European family, you know, so they kind of switch around, you know.
Wow.
So it kind of works both ways. But yeah, that's a great question.
Awesome. I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Okay.
Oh, no, no, no. I'm glad. No, yeah, no, I want questions.
Yeah,
So,
there's a so much with this, and it's so hard to wrap your head around because we've been kind of put in this box, so as I'm looking over your website, and of course the reading you gave me, where I know I'm from Vega now, and all of this past history, and of course I researched all of that.
yeah,
There's so
exactly.
much
Yeah.
now that you've got your website. I'm gonna go definitely check that out because it's
Oh yeah,
it's
you
all in one
should.
place. Yeah.
Yeah, the Syrian section, because I think you're Syrian as well. That one's really expansive. I think we got in Sirius A, B, and C in there. So
Oh wow. Okay.
yeah, so
Awesome.
that one's really pretty expansive. Yeah, I love Sirius. It was it had some good times in Sirius, in the Syrian mystery schools. Woohoo! Yeah. So
I'd say besides
yeah,
Venus, Ceres is always the one that's always sticking out to me in the sky. When I go out there.
yeah, yeah, me too. Even though I'm not a Syrian starseed, I connect with Syrians very much.
Hmm.
My husband's a Syrian starseed, so obviously I like him. But the last soul type, or soul contract type, would be the walk-in, and a lot of people get really confused about walk-ins. It's really hard to define because there's several different types of walk-in situations,
Hmm.
but the most typical type, and this is not a contract that you see very often. So it's not like, oh yeah, I think I'm a walk-in, I mean, it's very rare actually. A lot of people think that when they go through their awakening that another soul steps in, but actually it's just that their soul wakes up, so they're still the same soul, but they've upgraded to a higher level, expansive level of themselves.
And it does
But
feel a lot like a higher aspect of yourself walked in. In fact, that's how it comes through sessions a lot. But
oh
it's
yeah,
still you.
absolutely.
But yeah.
It's still you,
Hmm.
yeah. But what a walk-in soul is it's usually an agreement that's made before Earth, that you have one soul that starts the incarnation. So they're born as a baby. They're just maybe they're an Earth soul, or maybe they're a Pleiadian soul, or some sort of soul, But for some reason they can't complete the contract. So another unrelated soul will step in. to take over that body. Okay, so and a lot of times with walk-ins, it's like a prior agreement. So these two souls have already decided this is what they're going to do. And what I found through my readings is that usually the walk-in soul that walks in afterwards is from a higher dimensional star system. So it might be Andromeda or Arcturus, you know. So it's usually a more evolved soul that was rather than a less evolved soul. I don't know if that makes sense.
Sure.
But,
Is it easier to sort of incarnate? Well, to walk into an already current person here without all of the issues. I know a lot of starseeds will have issues with being born in a human body. Is it easier for a higher level being to come into, you know, to do a walk-in type thing rather than be born here?
Yes and no. I would say
depends on
yes
the mix and
in the sense
matching of the
that-
genetics you were talking about,
Yeah.
probably, right?
Yeah. I would say yes in the sense that they don't have to go through all the childhood stuff, you know, so they're not, you know, going through all that, all that adjustment. But then because they have to assimilate all the prior souls' memories.
Right.
And sometimes they don't get all the nuances of the memories. And so a lot of times people will say like, oh gosh, you know, like my wife is like a completely different person now.
Right.
Like I don't know, you know.
Reminds me of that movie Travelers, actually, or that show Travelers, you know.
Yeah, the Travelers. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So so that one's kind of challenging. And a lot of times it's because I think, and sometimes it might be also because the prior soul decides, you know, halfway through, you know, their incarnation that, hey, I can't handle this, or I don't want to do this, but I don't necessarily want to commit suicide or get ill or go through all that. So I think I'm just going to check out and have somebody else check in, you know, so.
Now, I know it happens sometimes during trauma or like maybe a near-death experience. They'll do the swap there. Do they ever just do it like in the sleep, or does it take some kind of traumatic event or anything to do the swap?
I think it usually is based on a traumatic event. Like, I don't think it's ever like, you know, oh, you go to sleep and, oh, you wake up a different person. I think it has to be some event, you know, whether it's traumatic or not, you know.
Kind of hides the transition, or if the person's a little different or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's wild.
Yeah, so yeah, that one's really interesting. The other thing that I think I'll bring in is some of the star system influences on certain relationships. You know, so for instance, these are just trends I see through doing readings for people. So I just kind of compiled it all into a webinar, and we'll go more into detail with some of these things. But usually what I see is that, Pleiadians, starseeds seem to fall into the same type of relationship patterns, or Lyran starseeds might fall into the same relationship patterns, or you have Arcturians or Sirians, and they usually have certain traits, that they bring into relationships. And then, they'll have, and it's usually based on their experiences from their original star system. So why are Pleiadian starseeds a certain way? Well, because of their galactic history, because they went through these experiences that formulated their personalities. Okay. The same with any other star system, even the same with Earth souls. Okay. So Earth souls too will sometimes, they'll go through, Earth, had a lot of trauma, so Earth souls are working through a lot of trauma in their relationships. And I think on some level we all do. I think, regardless of whether it's starseed or Earth soul, we all work through certain trauma, but the way we work through it might be more specific to our star origins. So just to give you an example, just to kind of give you guys a little bit of a teaser here, but so Pleiadian starseeds, because they come from a civilization that was highly evolved, very harmonious. I mean, relationships were easy. Everything was easy in the Pleiades. Because they're a highly evolved, very well integrated civilization. they're used to having a multitude of different relationships that were quite pleasant and easy and very harmonious. Then they come to, and they're super empathic people anyway. So Pleiadians are empathic. So then they incarnate on Earth and they think, wow, everybody's like me. Everybody is happy-go-lucky, easy,
Surprise!
kind,
Welcome to Earth.
kind, compassionate. And then they run into narcissists and sociopaths and all the negative types of humans that we have here on this planet. And because they're so empathic, they'll meet somebody and they'll be like, wow, I can see the potential in that person. If I just love that person just a little bit more, they're just going to blossom, they're going to become this really great human, and then they get into these really codependent situations, so they're constantly giving, and the partner's just taking advantage of their good nature. So Pleiadians, oftentimes will struggle with attracting narcissistic types because they're such the opposite. They're so empathic that, narcissists love them. So and so they get stuck in these patterns, and the way that I think they have to transcend these patterns, is to kind of realize that not everybody on this planet responds to relationships the way they do. So not everybody on the planet is going to be as loving or as caring, and to be a little bit more discerning when they step into relationships. So they have to learn a certain level of discernment and making boundaries,
And that's what the contract's all about. It's like,
exactly.
Once you learn that, then the contract's complete. So
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the object is to move through that quicker and then
Exactly.
mission
Yeah.
accomplished.
You got it. You got
gotcha.
it. So they have to learn these lessons because in the Pleiades, they don't get the opportunity to learn them, because everything's harmonious, but
Gotcha.
yeah, when you go on Earth, it's like you're dealing with different types of people with different star origins or people with different Earth origins, that maybe even some reptilian types, I see a lot of Pleiadians that hook up with draconian starseeds.
Really? Like polar
Oh yeah.
opposites?
Oh yeah, I see quite a bit actually. And and you're thinking like, why would this, or Orion, the negative Orion starseeds, the ones that haven't worked out their issues yet.
Right.
And then it's like, why would this really loving person be with this total asshole?
Right.
But it happens a lot. And so they have to learn the lesson of, hey, I'm not going to put up with this anymore. I'm not going to allow myself to be, in this kind of relationship. And so then they move on, and then once the Pleiadian heals their own wounds and their own trauma, they'll start attracting healthier relationships, so they'll have much more fulfilling relationships, where it is more on an even balance. So it's not like they're giving all the time, so
do we have like a stack of soul contracts we're working through? Like once we complete that, is another one going to pop up? And, is that sort of how it works, and we get through as many as we can in a lifetime? Or
some of them are ongoing too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so some of them, like with our families, those are ongoing. Those aren't going to, end. Like some of the maybe more romantic ones, those could end. But some of the Earth ones, a lot of times what I see from starseeds, like with their families, is that they just learn to love and accept them where they're at. And maybe they choose, because maybe their families are really toxic, like, what, I don't want to interact with them anymore, but I still love them. I still hold them in love and light, because these people raised me, they gave me, life here, so they honor that, but at the same time, they're not subjecting themselves to being in toxic, situations, so sometimes you have to set really strong boundaries, with certain people. I know myself, I went through, my first marriage was very toxic, and it was kind of a Pleiadian-like situation, even though I'm not a Pleiadian starseed. And I think Arcturians fall into this too, where sometimes we get into relationships because we're very loyal and we want to, stick with that person, and, we want to try to really make it work. And so we stay in it much longer than we should. And then we're like, well, I don't know. This is not healthy for me anymore. I can't stay in this. And so at some point we'll choose to leave. And usually it's very difficult, so it's not like, it's like we make a decision, bam, it's over. It takes, it's a process, but as far as twin flames, because I get this question a lot about twin flames. It's like people are always like, why am I attracted to this person? Or, why is this, we have this twin flame connection when we're really different, but as far as the extraterrestrial influences on that, kind of what I see with twin flames is that not all the time, but I mean, usually you'll get like, okay, your twin flame is an Arcturian starseed and you're an Arcturian starseed. Okay, you started off in Arcturus, but then you had incarnations in, other places. But that's not always the case. So sometimes you might have a soul that splits, and one soul will incarnate in Lyra and the other one in Vega. Okay, and then, or you might have a soul that splits and one might incarnate in the Pleiades and one in Sirius, so I see that happen, quite a bit. So then you're having really vastly different experiences, and then you come together as twin flames and you're just trying to figure out, why does this person, if they're my twin flame, why do they respond to things differently than I do? Or why is their frame of reference so different? Well, it's because they had different incarnations or different experiences, so so the lesson that we're supposed to learn with the twin flame relationship is to continue to have unconditional love for that person, despite the separation, the suffering, the trauma, whatever it is that we go through with that twin flame relationship, and continue to have to embody that unconditional love. And once you master that, and once the twin flame also masters that, then you have a greater likelier chance of, getting together on a more permanent basis. But the soulmate relationship is supposed to teach us self-love. So the soulmate will oftentimes come into our lives when maybe we're trying to learn that lesson. Like, how do I love myself? I've been through all this trauma, so then the soulmate will come in and they give us all this love, they're supportive. And so then we're kind of like, well, it's easier for me to, so you're seeing yourself reflected in the soulmate. And it's kind of like, oh, well, I can see why I'm so lovable, because they love me, So it's kind of like that kind of arrangement. So it's pretty cool. It's really, really cool.
So how many of each can we have? Is that just like the possibility? Twin flame, that sounds like you can only have one other one. And soulmate, is that limitless, or how does that work?
Yeah, twin flame is usually one other, because that's just a split side of our soul. Right. Soulmates, you can have a multitude of soulmates. So there's not a limit on soulmates.
Same way with family and all of that, probably, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. So so it's not like oh yeah, I got I only got an X amount of soulmates. I think kind of popular popular culture kind of romanticizes these relationships. It's like, oh, you got your one and only. There's that is true with this twin flame, but I always say that it's better to be with a soulmate than a twin flame, because twin flame relationships are very challenging. If you can't transcend the difficulties and be with your twin flame, then it'll be the most spectacular relationship probably that anybody can ever imagine. But
it's difficult.
But it is difficult.
Because it's so volatile, I guess, with all the different experiences. And I imagine if they had lifetimes on different star systems, like you were mentioning, that would bring the potential up even higher, but also the volatility of the whole thing up even higher. So
absolutely, so and a lot of times how they respond to things might be different. I mean, just because they're your twin flame doesn't mean that they understand all the nuances of your personality. I mean, yeah, a lot of times you'll have this connection, you'll feel each other's feelings, you might even read each other's thoughts. I don't know, but the response might be different, so maybe they had more lifetimes on Earth than you have, and maybe they were more traumatized, maybe they, have a fear of commitment because, they were stuck in a, I don't know, arranged marriage that was terrible, so you never know, what they're, unless you look into the records, so the cool thing about having an Akashic reading records when you have soul contract questions is I can go in there and help you determine why you're having struggles with your twin flame or why you're having struggles with your soulmate or your family relationships. So that's kind of the cool thing about going into the Akashic records is that you see the actual, past life or parallel life or interdimensional life that influences the life today, so that, so people get a much greater understanding and much greater compassion, or maybe a greater sense of acceptance. Like, okay, this is just how this person is, and they got to go through their lessons. But yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
I've got a quick question here. Wouldn't all people be starseeds? I guess on some level, everyone's sort of like it from somewhere else on some level, right?
Yeah, I would say I'm finding more and more that I mean, unless you're a really young soul and you've only had incarnations on Earth, I would say the majority of us now are starseeds. There's more starseeds on the planet than on during this timeline than there ever has been in prior planet Earth. So even if you're not like, say, oh yeah, I'm fresh off the boat, I'm from Sirius, you might be a soul that is originally from, say, Andromeda, but you've been on planet Earth for a number of incarnations. So
I see.
So you definitely have the Andromeda, signature, but you also have the Earth signature.
Let's talk about where you see the whole planet going with the just with everyone. There's so many people that I'm noticing awakening right now.
Oh yeah,
What do
definitely.
you see, like, I don't know, just general information about the awakening? Is there anything,
Awakening. Yeah, that's a great segue
trends
there.
trends you sort of see, in your work?
Yeah. What I'm seeing right now is we are getting I think 2020 2012 was like the first great awakening. So 2012, I think there was certain like years where there was a lot of awakening, like 1986. That was the harmonic convergence. So there was some awakening happening there, and then we had 2012, and then 2020 was one of those years that the whole COVID pandemic forced people. I mean, I think because people were at home, they were maybe not working for a while. They were thinking about things, and it forced them to kind of look at things from a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm seeing a lot of people awakening right now. Almost everybody, because they're awakening, is going through major transitions, major transitions with their jobs, with their relationships, with their location that they live in. I'm seeing people just kind of uprooting. I mean, just completely changing their lives. And I think it's because their old energy used to be in resonance with where they're at, but now it's no longer, they're, because they've upgraded,
Mm-hmm.
their frequency is no longer in resonance. So they just get this idea of, hey, I really want to move here, or I really want to quit my, soul sucking job and, do what I really love to do. So I always make jokes about the 3D jobs, but because they can be soul sucking, but or I don't want to be in this marriage anymore. I think I'm just going to get a divorce. So, or maybe I'm not in a relationship and I really want to be in a relationship, so I'm going to create that in my life. So it could work both ways. But I think we're going through these because we're getting in alignment with our higher level frequencies of ourselves, and we're starting to bring in more of the we're starting to get more in alignment with our true soul missions. So it's kind of like we got turned on, like the switch came on, And now it's like I got to set things up in my reality so that I can be more in alignment with what my true mission is, and then go from there. As far as the overall planet, I do think we're going to go through a series of events. Okay, so I don't think it's going to be like one great event where everybody ascends, we have the rapture, and everything's cool. I think it's going to be a series of events. I think the next decade, we're going to see a lot of social, economic, societal changes. We're going to see a lot of influx of new technologies such as med beds and other really high-tech technologies that are going to completely change the structure of the medical system, the political system. And it's not going to be easy. So it's going to be a bumpy ride because there's forces on this planet that don't want to see that happen, or they just want those technologies for themselves and not for, the entire planet.
Mm-hmm.
But so it's going to be a battle. Okay.
But we're
It's not
seeing
gonna
the
be-
crumbling away of the old systems already, and
Oh,
sort of
yeah.
the people that's going to be the front runners or the pioneers of the new system are already taking a stand and emerging as these leaders in the new system. It's beautiful when you take a step back. You can see how it's all working, even though it's kind of chaotic at
It
times.
looks messy,
Yeah, it's got to be
It's
messy
like,
for a little bit.
Yeah, it's gonna be messy. So it's like kind of like stirring the pot. It looks kind of yucky for a while, and then
Yeah.
it clears out. But yeah, it's really messy right now. But it is crumbling. I mean, our political system, even in the United States, it's crumbling. I mean, it's like
Oh, it's
it's
crazy.
a joke. I mean, it's a freaking joke. But um,
So, do
you
you
know,
get a
even
lot of newly awakened clients lately, more than usual, anyway?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, it used to be, when I was doing readings a few years ago, it was mainly people have been on the path for a while that really advanced or intermediate level spiritual, on their spiritual path. But now it's like lately these people are brand new. I mean, they're just like they've only been awake for a year, or they've been awake for like 6 months. So. But I think that's great, that they're reaching out to get an Akashic reading.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, I
Yeah.
see the speed of advancement for people that's more newly awakened, and I'm like, wow, they're like covering stuff in like a year that took me a decade to go over. It's
Oh,
just like
I
it's
know.
in the field of understanding, so it just like snaps, and you
Yeah, it's
can,
like
yeah, you can see.
they're evolving really rapidly. It's like they're just, I think because for so it's like there's a difference between the clients I used to have before, where they've been on the path for 20 years. This was just like another thing on their path. These people are like starting off with all the information. It's like they're getting all of it all at once, and so they're going to evolve a lot faster. So that's what's really awesome, is that it's not like you're dragging behind, because we're all going to catch up with each other.
I felt like that at first too. I was like, oh my gosh, I felt like, when you wake up and the alarm clock's been going off for a while, and you like, I've been hearing it go off, but now you're running late, and now you're like, that's how I totally felt like that when I first woke up. Now I'm more relaxed about it, but I know a lot of people, like, once it snaps in your mind, like all of the signs that you saw that you ignored, because once you wake up, you start realizing, you're like, oh my gosh, I ignored all of those signs, but that's the process, for us to see them and finally wake up, put all the pieces together, and then we can actually relax into the fact that we woke up just on time, actually, because we're
Yeah,
all on our own
exactly.
individual path. But I remember when I first was talking to people, and it seemed like it totally felt like I was late to the party, because I share an idea or something, and I think I'd get all these thumbs down, but everybody was like, yeah, we get it. So
Oh, I totally felt like that, because I was such a late bloomer. I was a late bloomer. I was like, I mean, because there was people I knew that they've been awakened since the 1980s or 1970s, and here I was 2020, bang, I'm awake, or 2012 rather.
right.
But I feel like I've made up for lost time, and that's what's going to happen for other people too. That other people are also going to catch up. So that's the wonderful thing about the ascension, is that it's on our own timeline. So it's not like oh, I'm falling behind, or I'm not. I get people that actually have a lot of anxiety about it.
Yeah.
They like
But it's like
like,
in
you
the
know,
air. That it's in the atmosphere now. The whole
yeah,
growth, and it's much easier now to progress. And even just to talk to my sister about, or other family members that would have normally kind of turned me off before, they'll listen now, and they're just more open minded to all sorts of stuff that they would have never been before. So I see a huge shift even amongst people that I wouldn't think of as being like awakened to all the stuff I've been awakened to or whatever. But it's beautiful. So I want to have you explain exactly what you offer people before the end of the hour, to just so people can reach out.
oh,
What
absolutely.
types of
Well,
things can you help people with the Akashic
oh,
reading
yeah,
and stuff?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I'm a galactic historian. So and I am planning some projects next year to incorporate more trainings. A lot of people have asked me about Galactic Akashic Records readings, so how they can learn to do that also, because I'm only one person. I can't do all the readings on the planet as much as I'd like to, but so yeah, I just don't. I'm a human. I have have my limitations, but I like to train other people on how to do that. So we're working on that for next year, me and my team. So we're going to offer some really nice trainings in Galactic Akashic reading. We're going to continue the webinars. So the webinars are also going to be ongoing. Probably we're going to do one like every quarter, like every couple of months or every 3 months, we'll offer a webinar on different topics that relate to galactic star origins and also the Akashic records. I am still doing readings. A lot of people, they've gotten some misinformation that I'm no longer offering readings. I am going to offer personal readings in 2022, but it'll be a reduced schedule because I am going to be working on some new projects. I do want to write a book about galactic history, so I need time to do that. So it's not going to be the gangbusters, where everybody can go on my website and schedule. They'll have to schedule through my admin assistant. But we're going to try to get in as many people as we can. But I can't do 20 or 25 readings a week anymore.
Right.
So yeah, so it's just not it's going to be like you're going to have to maybe wait a little bit longer to get a reading. But so I am still offering readings. So there's that, and then I did mention Gaia-Sphere, so I will be a presenter at Gaia-Sphere next year in September. And you'll see me on Ancient Civilizations Season 4. So I'll be the little expert piping in about, the extraterrestrial influences. And I'll probably be on Open Minds again. So I think that's definitely going to be happening. So you'll see me on Gaia here and there. So it's going to be, I'm kind of like a fixture there now. So I know a lot of the Gaia people personally now. Is like, because I've been there so much that some of them are now my personal friends,
That's
so
awesome. Wow.
yeah, they're awesome people. I mean, and Gaia is amazing. Just to go to their headquarters, it's like they got these humongous crystals. I mean, it's just like, the whole place has crystals all over the place. They got a labyrinth. They got their own organic garden. I mean, it's a fabulous place to work.
It's actually in, where is it, Colorado, I think, or something?
Yeah, it is in Colorado. It's just about an hour's drive north of me. So it's in Louisville, which is just south of Boulder. So
Nice.
yeah, so they're in the Boulder area, but they're in Louisville. So yeah, so you'll see me around, in different venues. But Shane, I really appreciate you giving me this little platform and this time to kind of come on and just talk about, a few things. And I know Shane and I've had a long relationship, and
Even before this lifetime.
yeah, even before, yeah, we were in Lemuria together.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I really appreciate the platform and
No problem at all.
the opportunity to reach your listeners. So thank you so much.
No problem. It's my pleasure. And so people can get in touch with you through your website, which is below. And
It's DebbieSolaris.com. So DebbieSolairs.com. You can see trainings. I'm not taking personal reading appointments right now because I'm booked through the end of the year, but I will be taking them again in 2022. The best thing to do is, if you want a reading, is to sign up, to subscribe to my website. And that way you'll get notifications if, I'm taking appointments again.
Perfect. And I was just showing your website on the screen there. Awesome. A lot of information there, and I will definitely be checking that out as well. So to you guys in the chat, thank you guys for being here live. And Debbie, I'd love to have you back before the Gaia-sphere thing, even if you want to.
Yeah, no, the Gaia-sphere is going to be awesome. And be sure to check me out on Ancient Civilizations. That's in January. So
I'll definitely be watching that.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty cool. I worked with one of the best producers in the world, who is Melissa Tittle. She's also used to be a producer for Ancient Aliens, so she's
nice.
pretty. Yeah, so she's really super awesome. So I get to work with her, so she was cool.
That's super cool. Is Ancient Aliens even on yet? So this is.
Yeah, I think they're still doing the series. They've been on for a long time.
Oh yeah, at least a decade now, it seems like.
Yeah, at least a decade. Yeah.
All right, so so the show that starts in January is similar to that then?
It's very similar, yeah. It's kind of a similar format, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Well, thank you so much. Lots of love to you, Debbie. Thanks, and you're always welcomed on here.
Thank you, everybody. It's good to connect with all the listeners.
Absolutely. We'll see you guys later. Peace.
Bye-bye.
Mm-hmm.